Hey guys, Pedro here to tell you about the latest from 3TEETH, EndEx, out September 22nd on Century Media Records. The album has 12 tracks, 47 minutes in length, and this is the band's fourth full-length studio album. They are an American industrial metal band. Now, this is one of those records that the moment you start to listen to it, you realize that the album is taking you somewhere. You may not know exactly where that somewhere is, but you feel the movement and you feel the journey coming in front of you. The way I would describe the experience of going through every single song in sequence on this record, it would be walking down the hallway where you're looking at the walls and you're taking it all in. You're taking the moment that you're currently in to try to understand exactly what is happening. You open a door, another hallway is ahead of you. Different walls, different color, different texture, but a hallway nevertheless. Then you open another door and it's another hallway. It never seems to end. There's no end in sight, but that doesn't mean that you're not on a journey. You're on a journey to find something, to see what's the light perhaps at the end of the tunnel. But you also focus on understanding the current moment that you're in. And this album is exactly that. Every song allows you to focus on it, the moment that you're currently in, but all of them put together in the structure that they designed also allows you to feel like you're being immersed into the experience and you're walking down those multiple hallways until perhaps you come to the end of the road. Really interesting design that works extremely well with the dynamic sound experience that this album has. And as far as that sound experience is concerned, I think there are two main key ingredients in it. First of all, the production. Outstanding production on this record. I think it's one of the main reasons why you're able to get as much as you will out of the sound of this record. If the production is not at par and it's not at the level that this one is, a lot of the elements get lost. Things become a little bit more murky. It's a little bit harder to see all the different layers and all the different texture that the sound has, what they're creating, what they're doing. It's even hard to see the impact vocally and in terms of the dynamics that the vocals offer as well. So having a very clear production behind it, production that matches the sound of the band, that matches the sound that this album is trying to give, is halfway there in order to win the war, because that is just the first battle. I feel like the second element of this album is the overall consistent heaviness that the record has, mostly coming from the guitars. I wouldn't say that this is a guitar-centric album, but the guitars play a huge role. It's almost like that commercial, I don't always drink beer, but when I do, it's Dos Equis. This album is very similar to that when it comes to the guitar sound. I'm not going to say that it's a guitar-centric record, but that it plays a major role, it surely does. Specifically with that heavier side. It's not consistently heavy every minute, every second of every song, but it's consistently heavy as far as the emotion, as far as the drive, as far as its essence across every single track. There are ebbs and flows, but you always find yourself coming back to that heaviness, coming back to that substance that makes this album feel really big, having a lot of volume, but also having substance within that volume. It's not empty, it's thick, it has something within it. The guitars are creating perhaps the outer edges and some of the nucleus, but then you have the drums filling in the space between the nucleuses and the outer edges. The drums have that kind of role. They offer even more depth to the sound, they offer even more definition, allowing you to see better where the track starts and where the track ends, giving room for the guitars to move in between that space, but making the space feel a little bit more snugged, a little bit more comfortable, adding another piece to the puzzle in order for this record to have this kind of sound, to have this kind of aura to it. Now, obviously, the electronic elements, the synthesizers come in and make everything glow. They make every single piece move. They're like the gasoline in a motor. You can have all the right parts, you can have all the right pieces, but for that motor to fire up, you need that. You need that gasoline. You need that fuel. And I felt like on this album, perhaps more than in previous records, those elements work really well because everything had its place, everything had its role, and when you put them all together, when you have the right diagram in front of you and you put all the pieces together in the right way, you have an album that's firing on all cylinders, and that's exactly what's happening here, at least from a musical standpoint. Now, as far as the vocals are concerned, I felt like the dynamic of the vocals was really interesting. Not a one-size-fits-all approach, not that I was expecting that. But when you're concentrating so heavily on the sound, when you try to create an album that sound-wise is very appealing, that has hooks, that has melodies, that has great elements that captivate your attention, that has this overall aura of heaviness, sometimes it's easy to lose track of where the vocals need to be in that overall big picture of the sound. Not the case here. The vocals fit really well, very dynamic, adding to the engagement of the tracks, adding to the dynamic of the tracks, fitting the mood of the tracks, fitting the construction of the songs, fitting the sonic experience that each and every single song offers. More industrial, more electronic in some cases, clean here, a little bit harsher there, just really going with the flow, not trying to pigeonhole yourself, but rather go with a more organic approach where the track dictates exactly what you need vocally in order for the songs to be complete. So great vocal performance, really engaging. I mean, some of the choruses on this record are super hooky. They're memorable. They're repetitive, yes, but not boring in that sense. So in a lot of that repetitiveness, and a lot of that catchiness and hookiness doesn't just come from the sound. Obviously some sound elements add to it, but it's a lot more about the delivery, the style of the vocals, and then how everything comes together. All around, when I look at all the elements from design to the production, which I think it's the best production on any record that they have released, when I look at all of that, design, production, sound, heaviness, overall heaviness, and then some freaking great hooks here and there, some really catchy choruses, this is by far, in my humble opinion, their most complete record to date. It's one, like I said, where everything is firing on all cylinders, everything is in its right place, everything is in its right order, and you don't feel disconnected from the album at any given time. If anything, like I said earlier, it's an immersive experience where you're going to get deeper and deeper into it the more that you listen. As far as favorite songs are concerned, I want to start off with Acme Death Machine. Very dark opening, both musically and vocally. Then it starts to build up as it progresses. But I feel like this is a track that always goes back to that somber nature that it opened up with. That itch never gets fully scratched on this track, and I think that is the key to the sound, to the atmosphere, to how this track hits, because you get that feeling at the beginning, it dissipates as you progress, the song becomes a lot heavier with the drums and guitars, vocally very dynamic, this creates a lot of movement, and overall there is a certain consistency in the sound, but still a lot of movement within that consistency. Then you get to the chorus. Once you get to the chorus, that somber vibe that you had at the beginning comes back again with this synth, this keyboard melody that is just so, like, gives you chills almost, haunting in nature, allowing the chorus to pop first because of that. Secondly, because of how the vocals come into it and marry perfectly, they tie in perfectly to that keyboard melody that is just so haunting. So this allows that chorus to pop twice. Pops musically, pops vocally, and because of it becomes very catchy and very hooky. The verses feel more driven, faster, heart-pounding, heavier, and this creates this ebb and flow between what the verses are offering and then what the chorus gives you. Great song, really dynamic, really memorable. Then you have What's Left. This is a heavy driven song. It moves quickly, it creates a sense of forward motion. It's a track that you're never really looking back, you're not stopping, pausing to look around, you're just going on this ride. You're going on a ride, musically on a ride, vocally, very impactful vocally, very textured, matching the overall sound and the texture that that sound has, making it a fun, party, heavy banger song. I think that's the best way for me to describe it. It's a track that you could listen to at a party, but it's also heavy enough that if you listen to it at a concert, you can still mosh, you can still headbang, you can still have a good time with it. So it's a headbanging party song, if you will. It's not party in terms of being fun, but it's party in terms of making you move and having a good time with it. It's a great track, still with overall thickness to the sound, still with that overall thickness that becomes heaviness at times. I just love the nature of it because it takes you in a different avenue. It makes you feel slightly different. It makes you feel a little bit lighter, a little bit happier, but with all the other ingredients that this album holds near and dear to its heart. Last but not least, Alien. This is my favorite track on the album. Heavy, both musically and vocally. That is a huge factor as far as this song is concerned. Then you have the synths that infuse this driven melodic pieces and experience into the track, and then you have the clean vocals that help break away some of the heaviness that the song has. This allows a blend of experiences to coexist with one another in a single song without feeling volatile, without feeling like it's a roller coaster ride. It doesn't have that essence. It allows the DNA of the song to remain intact almost. You feel like that heavy side of the track is always there, but you also feel other moments within the song that don't necessarily take you away from the path that you're currently on. You're just looking at different sceneries. It's almost like you're on a train ride, and the ride is the same. You're sitting there and you're just enjoying the journey, enjoying the ride, but every time you look out of the window, you're seeing something different. This track is a little bit like that. It gives you that sense of experience, and because of it, because of how driven it is, talking about being on a train, that makes the track feel a lot smoother. All the differences that it has fall in line with one another. It doesn't jolt you, it doesn't move you up and down. It just gives you different pieces, but pieces that are all interconnected in the overall ride that this track offers from start all the way to the end. This is it, 3TEETH, EndEx, out September 22nd on Century Media Records. Let me know your thoughts on the band, on the singles. Use the comment section below. I'll be reading those and getting back to you. Take care, guys.